Dr. R. Sugaraj Samuel. He is working as a professor in physics at New College, Chennai. He is also training students for IIT JEE, AIEEE and BIT SAT. He has more than 16 years experience in both teaching and research. He has published a book titled The Complete Handbook of Bachelor of Electronic Science Practicals, which is prescribed for the syllabus for BSc Electronic Science by University of Madras. He has presented papers in several national and international conferences and has also conducted many training programs and workshops to motivate energetic students. His research areas are ultrasonic, polymers, crystal growth and photovoltaic systems. He is experienced in both regular classroom teaching and online teaching as well.
Welcome to UGC lecture series on oscillations and waves. In this lecture, we are going to see the concepts related to superposition, but superposition of many oscillations. Let us see the session outline before we begin the lecture. The superposition of n number of simple harmonic motions we are going to see in this lecture as a general case and also as special case. Two special cases are taken up for discussion in this lecture: SHMs with equal phase differences and SHMs with equal frequency differences. To match with what is given in the curriculum, these special cases are also taken up for discussion. We have already got very much familiarized with the superposition of two oscillations which are having vibrations in the same direction. We have one more category: when they superimpose in the perpendicular direction. There are a lot more to learn in the concepts that we will see in the future lectures. But before we take it up, we need to learn this concept of superposition of n waves or n oscillations. For that, we have to recapitulate what we have learnt in the superposition of two oscillations concept. So, let us quickly have a recap of only the vital expressions which are needed for today's discussion, which we have already seen. The equation of resultant SHM for superposition of two SHMs is having this form: x is equal to a sin omega t plus eta here plus epsilon. Here a is the resultant amplitude, epsilon is the resultant phase and omega is the frequency. When two SHMs of same frequency superimpose or interfere with each other, that will result in another SHM with the same frequency with modified amplitude and modified phase. So, this expression supports that statement. What are the expressions for the modified amplitude and modified phase? So, that expression is the base for today's discussion. Let us have a look at the expression. Here, the expression for the term A, the resultant amplitude, is of this form, and when we write it as a square, A square itself, this equation we have. These are very familiar expressions. Now, based on this only we are going to build further in today's lecture. And similarly, for the modified phase, the equation for resultant SHM for superposition of two SHMs is given like this. I would like to highlight upon the two terms we have here. Two trends are there. The individual squares of the amplitudes appear here. Similarly, the individual amplitudes connected with a term, a trigonometric term, and also the phase difference phi 1 minus phi 2. So there are two types of terms appear here. So these brackets which appear here help us to see the two terms separately. If we extend the concept of superposition for more than two oscillations, what will happen? These two terms will have their own extended terms, extended expressions. So let us see how it is done. See, if we extend the superposition for n waves or n oscillations of equal frequency and different amplitudes and different phases, then the resultant SHM will have an amplitude of this form. See here, this term is having the square of individual amplitudes as a summation, and which I have explained just now, the individual amplitude, the product of individual amplitudes connected with the cause of the phase difference. So this is also appearing as a summation, and here there are two summations running simultaneously, one for the variable I, the another one for the variable j. The j should always be greater than I, that is a condition. So this is a very familiar mathematical nested summation formation. So that is what is appearing here, and when we take the root for this, we will have the amplitude here, and here also for the individual square terms, the number starts from 1 and ends runs up to n terms. So this can be extended to n oscillations with different amplitudes and different phases, but they all should have the same frequency. So this extension is possible by understanding there are two different types of terms that appear in the final expression for the resultant amplitude. What could be done now for the phase, which is the resultant phase, which is represented as epsilon in this expression? That also we can take it up for discussion as a recall of what we know already. So this epsilon is having this equation, this form in the superposition of two oscillations, and when we write it for epsilon as the summation for n SHMs, this will run for n terms, because here the ai sin phi 1 and a2 sin phi 2 individually, the suffixes, if you see, this is 1, this term has got 2, and another one if you add it will be 3, like that. So these two can be written as the two summations here. So this again can be extended for n oscillations. So with these equations we can definitely understand the logic of superposition of n oscillations. When we substitute for this resultant amplitude and the resultant phase, how the equation will look like. Let us have a look at the slide and understand. See, this is the very simplified equation, but a and epsilon are having very lengthy terms which we have just now seen. So when we substitute for this a and epsilon in the place here in the equation, this equation appears as a very long equation, which is the resultant of the superposition of n SHMs having same frequency and different amplitude and different phases. This I would like to call as the general case of superposition, but still we have not touched upon the omega, the frequency. Frequency is the same, because of that only the simplification was done with quiet ease here. Now we have understood how the terms vary when we try to extend the superposition for more than two oscillations. With this understanding, now we will go for the special cases. In the special case, according to our syllabi, we have the relaxation on the phase. The phase can differ, but the difference is going to be equal. Successively there is a variation, and that difference is going to be equal. So del phi, like that we have to introduce a term on our own and try to simplify the concept. So let us have a look at the special cases how it is done. Now equal phase differences, that word difference is important, it is not equal phase, it is equal phase difference. So let us take the equation in this way. We are adding n oscillations here, x is equal to x1 plus x2 plus x3 and so on up to xn. These are the n oscillations. We substitute for each oscillation here, individual oscillation. For the sake of simple mathematics, we take the amplitudes as constants in each oscillation. So A naught is the amplitude of each oscillation, and the first oscillation does not have any phase, second oscillation has a phase of phi, and the third oscillation has a phase of 2 phi. So what the last term, like that the addition is done, the last term has a phase of n minus 1 phi, because the first one was not having any phase and here it is n minus 1 phi. So how the phase is differing with respect to each oscillation or each SHM, it is differing by a term phi, that is it. The first one does not have any phase, second one has got a phase of phi, third one has got a phase of 2 phi and so on, the last one is n phi. So there is a equal difference in the phase. So this part we have to understand. And now what will happen when we add them? Normally for addition, for this kind of simplification, we have two approaches. One is the analytical approach, the other one is the phasor approach. Each approach has got their own advantages and disadvantages, but for the sake of simplicity, I would like to adapt the case of phasor method, because some sort of geometry could be adapted into the simplification that minimizes the number of mathematical steps that we have normally when we do with analytical. So let us adapt the case of phasor approach for simplifying this. We can use phasor method to analyze this addition. How the phasor would appear? The phasors are carefully arranged with respect to the reference that we have here. I would like to show it clearly. See, the first one does not have any phase phi, so it is just omega t, and then the second one has got a phase of phi, the third one again has a phase of 2 phi. So with respect to the first one it is 2 phi and so on. Each phasor is differing by a phase of only phi, and it is extended, and we have cut short the number of arrangements and we have come to the last one which has got the n minus 1 phase. So this is how the phasors are all arranged. Each one is differing with respect to the previous one by a value phi. And what is the resultant we know very well, because we are well equipped to do the phasor analysis. We will have to connect the origin and the last one, that we have connected, and that is the resultant amplitude. Now we get a regular polygon by arranging this, because each one has got the same a naught as the length, and each one is differing phi by a value phi. So it is a regular polygon. We have a rule in geometry. If we have a regular polygon, a circle can be inscribed into the polygon with a center at the point C, which is also represented here in this diagram. Let us have a look at the diagram. So in this diagram, here we have the center point C, a regular polygon in which we could inscribe a circle. So the circle is not shown because the diagram will become very big, but it is anyway understandable that we have the center of the circle as C here. Now with respect to the C also, we can measure the angles as per the geometry of the arrangement. So here we have the phi, like that, each term has got phi, and n phi is the angle subtended by this vector A or the phasor A, and that is the radius connected here. So once we understand the phasor that is formed here, we can invoke the concepts related to geometry into this discussion. So, as per the geometry, we have some rules pertaining to the chord. Here, the resultant amplitude A is the chord in the inscribed circle. So, we can write an equation like this. The amplitude A could be written as 2r sin n phi divided by 2. So, we can construct a right angle triangle, and this is a n phi divided by 2 is the semi angle of that. We can drop a perpendicular to this A. So, there are two chords, A is one chord and another perpendicular chord. That perpendicular chord is not shown here, which would also be the radius r. So, this equation we can write. Similarly, there is another triangle we are forming here with phi as the angle. For the phi, the A naught is the base, A naught here, A naught is the base, and similarly we can write an equation which is a rule. I do not want to discuss much further about the geometry part of it. So, we have got the two equations generated from the diagram itself by using the concepts of geometry. I would like to highlight what is n phi and phi. N phi is the entire angle, phi is the angle pertaining to only one phase r, and n phi subtends the entire A. When we divide these two equations, we write the term A in terms of A naught itself, and of course, the terms phi also appear here. So, what is the advantage of the phasor method? We have got the expression for the final or the resultant amplitude A in terms of the known amplitude A naught and also the known phase difference, which is phi. Of course, n oscillations are getting superimposed one with the other. So, that term n also appears. So, we have got an easy expression with known terms for the resultant amplitude, which could be substituted for the equation. Now, further, if you take the projection of A, when we take the projection of A on the x axis, that itself is the equation, that is the vibration, because the vibration is happening or the oscillation is happening with respect to the x axis. So, let us take the projection of the resultant amplitude A on the x axis, which gives us resultant the displacement x. So, x is A cos omega t plus delta. Here delta is the angle between the original line and the resultant amplitude, and for A we can substitute what we have derived earlier, and even for this delta we have got some relation with respect to phi. So, for that we are considering two angles, the C O P1, C O and P1, and then C O P N, C O P N. Like that there are two, P1 is here, Pn is here. So, like that we can write the delta is the difference between the two angles. So, that could also be written in terms of phi when we look at the geometry of it. So, in the final expression, now we can substitute for A and also for delta, which we have arrived right now, and the equation, final equation takes up this form. So, this is the final equation we get when we superimpose n oscillations or n SHMs which differ in phase with a constant value of phi, and A naught is the amplitude of each oscillation, which is kept constant here for the easy mathematical simplifications. Now, we can move on to the next special case, which is the superposition of n oscillations with equal difference in frequency. The frequency is going to differ. For the two oscillations, when the frequency is different, we got the beat frequency, which we have done already, but here we are going to add n oscillations, each is going to differ in frequency by a constant term. So, we will have to assume the equations accordingly and then proceed. Let us see how that assumption is done or how the equations are formed. Now, the equal frequency difference case, now add them together to find the resultant as we have done before. X is equal to x1 plus x2 plus x3 up to xn, and the terms are all added here like this. Each term is differing in frequency by a value of omega 1, del omega 1. So, in the previous case it was the variation in the phase, but here the variation is in the frequency itself. So, we have written the equations carefully so that each oscillation differs in frequency by a constant value. See, here it is omega 1 t and there is no phase, and here omega 1 plus del omega 1 t. So, del omega 1 is the difference. Now, come to the third term, the difference is 2 del omega 1, and like that the 3 del omega 1, 4 del, like that it goes. So, carefully the equations are chosen in such a way there is a constant difference of del omega 1 appearing. Why the omega 1 is taken as a frequency first of all? Why can't it be omega? Because we fix there is a difference in the extremes. One is omega, we start with omega and end with omega 2. So, in between there are several del omegas. Keeping that in mind, we have fixed a frequency as omega 1, the starting frequency as omega 1 and ending frequency as omega 2. Now, let us have a look at the equation again. See, the final ending frequency is omega 2. Between omega 2 and omega 1, there are variations in terms of del omega 1. And again, for the simplicity of mathematics involved in the analysis, we have taken the amplitudes as constants for each term, or else greater simplifications are required, greater terminologies are needed for simplification, and higher order mathematics will be required for simplification. So, we have taken the amplitude as constant in all the terms. All the oscillations have the same amplitude, that is the meaning A naught. And when we typically add them, what we are going to get? We will be once again invoking the concepts related to either trigonometry or the Phasor method, or there is one more method called exponentiation method. We can invoke that also, because when we write e power I x, e power I x is cos x plus I sin x. That is a very familiar expression for all of us, because e power I x includes the cos and sin, the real and the imaginary part. They are obviously trigonometric terms. So, we can use that technique also for simplification. As I said, whichever method is easier for us to follow, that method we try to adapt. So, what is the method we are using for simplification of this case? Let us see what we are doing. And as I said, there is an extremum we have fixed. Omega 2 is the final frequency, or the extreme, the higher frequency, omega 2, and omega 1 is the initial frequency. The difference in frequency is having this as the value n minus 1, differences are there in it. So, we write del omega as this, del omega is the bandwidth, because it is a difference in frequency, and it is divided n minus 1 terms, n minus 1 times we have divided the bandwidth. So, accordingly the difference in frequency is existing. Now, this is the complex analysis we are going to follow. When we take it up, the omega 1 and the difference in the frequency as of n minus 1 del omega, which comes from the complex analysis. The analysis part is not taken up for discussion here, because it involves higher order mathematics. There is a series we need to summation is there, the summation is to be simplified, all those could be referred in the book which we have, the reference book, which could be referred and understood. I have taken only the final expressions that we arrive just for the discussion, which could be further explained. So, this is the final expression we will be getting. The omega A is the average of the two extreme frequency, which I said earlier, the difference in frequency is the bandwidth, but when we simplify this term, we get one average frequency, and that average frequency appears here in the final expression for an expression as a function of time. This is a function of time. So, we have this expression here. This part is having the e power I omega a t. This itself has got a real part and imaginary part. The real part only has the meaning, that has got the physical meaning. So, we will take it up finally the real part for our discussion, and of course, along with that, this term also appears as a result of the complex analysis. And when we finally try to arrive at an expression, the complex part, the cos omega a t, because the previous case it was e power I omega a t, from that only the real part we are taking. Now, x is the real part of the function. So, when we take the real part of the function, only the cos term will appear, because cos is the real part, and this term which I said, which is now associated with the amplitude, and this is the average frequency. When we simplify, when we simply consider this is a term AM, AM is having a meaning. I will explain what is AM here, and once again we get a very simple equation, x is AM cos omega a t. How do we interpret this simple equation that we have arrived? There is a AM term and a omega a term. Omega a I have already explained, it is the average frequency, and there is an AM term. What is the AM term? Let us see that and then try to go further. This AM is the modulation amplitude, which is time dependent. The resultant is not simple harmonic, because in all the previous expressions the amplitude remains constant, but here the amplitude itself is varying with respect to time. That is what this equation tells us. The amplitude is a time dependent term. So, if that kind of case arises, then it is no more a simple harmonic equation. So, a complex way of vibration is happening. Though the equation appears very simple, it is similar to the simple harmonic, but it is not so. When we take it up for only two oscillations, we will definitely end up getting the beat frequency, the beat formation we will get. So, in this lecture we have seen the general case and also the special cases. So, let us see the session summary. The superposition of n number of SHMs as general case and also as special case with equal phase differences and equal frequencies differences we have seen elaborately in this lecture. Before we wind up this session, let us test our understanding by answering these questions. Discuss the superposition of n number of SHMs as a general case. Derive the final expression for the resultant displacement for superposition of n number of SHMs with equal phase differences. Discuss in detail the superposition of n number of SHMs with equal frequency differences. So, see you in another episode with yet another concept. Thank you for watching.